Before the Crusades ended, a new brotherhood had already built something no one saw coming. 1119, 9 knights, one vow so unusual, historians are still debating what they were really after. They called themselves poor, the name was a lie and it was meant to be. Their official seal showed 2 knights sharing 1 horse. It was the most calculated image in medieval history. The road to Jerusalem was a death sentence, until 9 men decided it didn't have to be. A sword costs silver, a horse costs more, an army costs everything, and someone always pays. So the Templars made a decision that would change money forever. They became the bankers of the medieval world. A single manuscript from 1150 survived. It records the transaction that started it all. Within decades, Templar vaults stretched from Paris to Toledo, and kings were in their debt. Behind those gates wasn't just a fortress, it was the world's first bank, and nobody called it that yet. The letter of credit was their most radical invention, a promise on vellum that replaced gold. A pilgrim could deposit coin in Paris, receive a letter, then collect its equivalent in Jerusalem safely. Carrying gold invited bandits. Carrying parchment invited nothing but a careful reader. The letter bore a cipher, a personal code matching donor to account, the first anti-fraud mechanism. Every seal was a contract, a theology of trust pressed into wax and delivered by faith. By 1150, the Templars had preceptories across a dozen kingdoms, each one a branch office in stone. From London to Acre, the network was one organism. Deposits here redeemed thousands of miles away. Crusading kings found they could borrow against their crowns. The Templars would lend to monarchs. Richard I financed his crusade partly through Templar credit. War had found its underwriter. Beneath the armor, beneath the cross, there was always a ledger, and the ledger never slept. The Templars didn't invent money. They invented what money could become when freed from physical coin. Merchants depositing silver in Paris could receive repayment in London without moving a single coin. The Paris Temple was Europe's financial center, a fortress kings visited not to conquer, but to borrow. Templar account books used a notation system that anticipated modern double-entry bookkeeping. Every key was numbered, access was tiered, trust had architecture, not just intention. The order employed non-fighting brothers, sergeants of finance who never touched a sword. Nobles, clergy, and merchants stored valuables in Templar vaults, the first safety deposit boxes in Europe. Physical treasure still moved, but now on Templar terms, under Templar protection. A papal bull of 1139 exempted the Templars from all taxation. Their advantage was now divinely sanctioned. They answered only to Rome, not kings, not bishops, untouchable, answerable to God alone. By the mid-13th century, the Templars ran their own fleet, trade and finance moved by sea. Their ships carried grain, wool, pilgrims, and sealed correspondence, commerce wrapped in religious mission. Kings used the Templars to collect taxes, manage treasuries, and audit nobles, an empire of trust. The French royal treasury was housed inside the Paris Temple for nearly a century, a king inside a bank. The Templar network spanned 9,000 kilometers. No authority had managed money at such scale. Every transaction left a trace, every trace was archived. Information was a form of power. Their archives rivaled the Vatican's, a record of every loan, debt, and defaulted promise in Europe. Knowing who owed what to whom was not just bookkeeping, it was leverage, quiet and absolute. The order also owned vast agricultural estates that generated income without a sword being raised. From vineyards in Burgundy to mills in England, the Templars grew an economy inside their mission. Wealth begat complexity, complexity begat risk. Risk, ignored long enough, becomes catastrophe. In 1291, Acre fell, the Crusader dream collapsed, and with it, the Templars' military justification. An order without a crusade was an army without a war, but the bank was still open. By 1300, nearly every crown in Western Europe owed the Templars enormous sums, including France. Philip IV of France owed the Templars more than he could repay, and he never forgot a debt. In 1306, Philip expelled every Jew from France and seized their assets, a rehearsal for what came next. Secret orders were dispatched across France, sealed, timed, designed to open at the same hour. On Friday, October 13, 1307, before dawn, every Templar in France was arrested simultaneously. 2,000 men taken. The charges: heresy, sodomy, idol worship, every crime that destroys credibility. Under torture, confessions followed. Men admitted to crimes they hadn't committed. History knows this pattern. The Inquisition ran the trials. The outcome was never in question, only confessions needed to arrive. Pope Clement V, installed through Philip's influence, offered no defense. The papacy watched in silence. Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master, was paraded through Paris as proof of an order destroyed by sin. Across France, Templar financial records were destroyed, an empire's accounting reduced to ash. But burning records cannot burn a system. The Templars' methods were already loose in the world. De Molay retracted his confession in open court defiance that cost him everything and changed nothing. Philip never fully recovered the Templar treasure, because the treasure was not coins but a living system. Physical assets went to the Hospitallers. The knowledge, the method, went quietly to the Italian banks. The Bardi and Peruzzi of Florence were already watching and learning from the Templars for decades. On March 18, 1314, de Molay burned on the Isle de la Cité, the last act of a financial revolution. He cursed Philip and Clement from the pyre. Both were dead within a year, coincidence, or the ledger settling accounts. The preceptories fell silent. Grass grew through their floors, but the ledger's logic was already elsewhere. In Florence, the Medici were building what the Templars designed, branch banks across Europe under one house. The letter of credit became the bill of exchange, a different name for the same ancient portable trust. Venice, Genoa, and Pisa built maritime empires on Templar-style credit. The Crusades seeded a commercial revolution. The Bank of England, founded in 1694, used instruments the Templars had field-tested 4 centuries before. Temple Church in London still stands, built by the Templars, preserved by the lawyers who replaced them. The Inns of Court, England's legal profession, grew from the Templar administrative complex beside the Thames. London's financial district sits precisely where the Templars built their English headquarters. A cross remains in a field in Hertfordshire. No sign, no visitor centre, just the geometry of a vanished empire. The Templar system didn't die in 1314. It migrated, adapted, and re-emerged under a different name on every door. Correspondent banking, moving money between institutions globally, is the letter of credit, renamed. SWIFT, moving $42 trillion daily, operates on the same bilateral trust logic the Templars used. Every cross-border transfer without moving physical cash, a Templar mechanism is running. The vault door, the safety deposit box, the tiered access system all descend from a 12th century preceptory. The promise that your deposit is safe somewhere you cannot see, that is the Templar covenant, still honored today. When a bank grows too powerful to coexist with the state moves. This too is the Templar inheritance. The pattern holds across 7 centuries: overextension, sovereign debt, political exposure, sudden collapse. What the Templars understood, and history keeps forgetting, is that money is not metal, it is a shared agreement. A pilgrim in 1170 trusted parchment more than the road, because someone had made it worth trusting. 7 centuries on, we place the same trust in invisible signals, unreachable institutions, promises made in code. The marble lobby, the vaulted ceiling, the solemn transaction, the bank was always built to look like a temple. Because it is. The Templars made it so, and the architecture of trust they built has never been dismantled. Philip IV thought he had destroyed the Templars. He destroyed the men, but the machine had already escaped. The cross on the shield was always collateral, God as guarantor, faith as the original underwriting of risk. In archives in Paris, Malta, and Rome, Templar documents survive, partial, scorched at the edges, unkillable. Scholars reading them today find familiar mechanisms: interest rates, collateral, default penalties, account reconciliation. Two knights, one horse, poverty as theatre, ambition as truth, the symbol of an order that became modern finance. The throne is empty, the order is dissolved. The system it built still processes 1 billion transactions every day. They came as warriors, they stayed as bankers, and when they were gone, the world kept using everything they left behind.